Thank you so much for taking time to be with me today. I don't know what it is in your part of the world, but it is Monday. I had a great weekend. I spent a lot of time just hanging out with my boys, doing some fun recreational stuff. I did some writing, some editing, mostly on my new book that's coming out. And it was just a good, I did a couple episodes ago, I talked about finding those flow moments where, life just happens naturally and you just let it happen. You embrace whatever the situation is. You don't strive, you don't fight, there's no tug of war. And it was just one of those weekends. And so I love when those just flow moments happen and you can just enjoy being. Didn't spend a lot of time with my head in the future. I didn't spend a lot of time with my head in the past. I was just enjoying being in the moment, being present with whatever it is I was doing. And so that's what I hope for you. That's what I want you to seek every day. Seek and try to create more just flow moments where you can just enjoy your life as it is. Okay? I want to give a big shout out. I promised back in episode 108, I gave a great big shout out to Francis Bertrand, who was the first person who responded to me saying that he had listened to all 100 at that point episodes. And since I did that on episode 108, I've gotten a bunch more. And so I promised that I would give some Life is a Marathon shout out love to anybody who lets me know that you have listened to all of my episodes. So here we go. Let me find my notes here. And Vicky O'Grady. Now, of course, I know Vicky. Vicky is a member of my life coaching community. And so Vicky is just full of energy and enthusiasm and encouragement for me and what I do. And Vicky reached out to me and said, Bruce, I just wanted to let you know that I too have listened to all 108 episodes at that point. So Vicky, I love you. Thank you so much for all of your encouragement, your support, for how many people you tell about the Life is a Marathon show. And I love that about all of you, the way that you tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors about how much you are enjoying this show. So thank you. So there's Vicky. Vicky O'Grady Longo is her full name. Just wanted to go ahead and get it all out there. Kelly Kershaw. Kelly, she sent me a tweet over Twitter. She says, I've listened to and loved all 108 episodes. I'm so grateful for the wisdom you share. Kelly, I'm so thankful for you. And you also are a big interactor with me, and I so very much appreciate you. Rose Possum. I'm not sure that that's Rose's last name, but that's her Twitter handle. Rose_Possum also sent me a tweet. She says, I've listened to all 108 episodes. I listen before bed most nights, all the way from Australia. Keep it up. So inspiring. Thank you, Rose from Australia. It's inspiring to me to know that people from all around the world are listening to my show, getting value out of it, and sharing it also. And Robin Sykes Bartley, also a longtime faithful listener and supporter. She sent me a tweet, says, hey, Bruce, just wanted to let you know that I've listened to all of your podcasts and many of them more than once. You rock. So thank you so much for those of you who have listened to all of my episodes. Like I said back in the previous time I did this, that's a lot of time for you to spend with me. I genuinely appreciate it. With every show averaging out to be, somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour long, that's 108 hours that you've spent with me. That's over 3.5 days, which is just amazing if you total it all up. So anyway, there's the shout outs. Again, thank you for all of the love that all of you show me every day. I feel it, I receive it, and I am grateful for all of the feedback that you give me. So I want to extend an invitation to you coming up in 1 week on Tuesday, May 26th. I know that I said I would be doing these on Mondays, but next Monday is a holiday here in the United States. It's Memorial Day, and so my boys will be out of school. I'll be spending the holiday with them. So on Tuesday, May 26th is my next live coaching session during lunch. I call it Lunch with My Life Coach. We had 20 people on the call last time I did it on Monday, May 11th, and it was just phenomenal. The interaction with everybody was great. So I invite you to join me again. This time I'm going to be talking about a personal branding issue and about how important it is that no matter what you do for a living, whatever your work is, even if you don't work, if you're retired, if you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, having a self-employed mindset and recognizing that you represent the greatest product or service that was ever invented is going to help not just your professional career and your professional relationships, but it's going to help all of your relationships, because you're going to have in your subconscious mind this idea that you are constantly representing your core values, who and what you are. And so you can think with every interaction, am I reflecting what I want to reflect? Am I sending out the type of energy into the universe that I want to send out? So please join me. It's 1 hour from 12 noon to 1 o'clock on Eastern time. So I don't know where that is on your time, but if you register for it, then you have unlimited access to the replay. So if you're not able to join me for the live session, you will still have access to it. You'll be able to see the replay. You'll see me on video. You'll see off on the right-hand corner, depending on what you watch it on. If you're watching it on like a mobile device, it might be underneath the video. But you'll see all of the comments that people leave. You'll see the questions that get asked. So please join me. The URL to register is brucevanhorn.com/lunch. I would love for you to join me on Tuesday, May 26th for the next Lunch with My Life Coach. Anyway, I want to jump into this next, or the topic, the meat of this show, which is really going to be ultimately about this issue of personal branding. But I've titled this show, How to Soar with Eagles When You Work with Turkeys. Okay, so how many of you feel that way? How many of you feel like you are an eagle, or at least you have the potential to be an eagle, this amazing, majestic creature who can soar high in the sky and is just so graceful and beautiful and worthy of dignity and respect. Yet you struggle to soar like an eagle because you work with or you're surrounded by turkeys, okay? So let me read to you an email that I got from a gentleman named George. I won't share his last name, but George sent me a great email. So let me read a portion of that to you. He says, "Hello, Bruce. First of all, I love the show. I've been listening to it since pretty much the beginning and have listened to pretty much every episode. I've been trying to change my attitude towards life, and your podcast has helped me tons." So first of all, let me start off with gratitude. Thank you, George, for being such a faithful, longtime listener. And I'm glad that the content that I'm sharing is helping you change your life. I don't think that I change your life. All my goal is to give you the tools, the resources, the encouragement, and to coach you in a way that helps you become the person that you want to be. You see, I don't want you to become who I want you to be. I want you to become who you want to be. So that's my first and foremost intention, is to help you live the life that you want to live, for you to define and pursue success in whatever way you define success, not the way the world defines it, not the way Bruce defines it. Okay, so that's my first and foremost goal with you. So he shares a couple things about his personal life and his personal development, the struggles that he's had. He shares a fair amount of the victories that he's had too. But he asks me a specific question, and he asks it in a way to suggest a topic for the show. And that is the topic of this show. He says, so now to my problem. At work, I give 100%. I show up early every day. I push through all of my work. I schedule things that may affect work for when I'm on vacation, and I rarely take a sick day. The others I work with are late a lot. I have to constantly chase them down for work they haven't finished and are doing things at times which are really bad. For instance, and part of why I'm writing is because the manager at one of our other stores is going in for elective surgery just a couple days before Memorial Day, which in our business is a huge day. And chances are I'll have to deal with issues for two stores. We both get paid the same amount, and the owner expects the same amount of effort from both of us. But he's never in town, so he's not around to see the issue. So I guess my suggestion for a show topic is this: how to mentally fix myself when it comes to me being a 100% giver, and the rest of the world doesn't seem to show that level of commitment. George, I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain. And it's a great question. And I've addressed this topic in bits and pieces throughout a lot of my shows. But let me go ahead and take your suggestion. So going to make this the entire focus of this show. It's not going to be long and drawn out, but basically, I could give you just a really pat answer and just say, you know what, don't pay attention to anybody else. You just do what you need to do. Do what you feel called to do, and just let everybody else be who they are and do whatever they want to do. And while that ultimately is the solution to this problem, I want to give you some tools as to why. So first of all, this is not a new thing. This is not, this is a worldwide. So this is not a northern hemisphere kind of problem. There is a sociological phenomena that I've talked about called the bucket of crabs syndrome. So we find it in workplaces, we find it in families, we find it in our peer groups. So when one person tries to improve their life or to perform at a level that is higher than what the rest of the group is comfortable performing at, there is this natural tendency for the rest of the group to try to pull you back down. First of all, you are making them uncomfortable. And so they're going to do this in a lot of different ways. And the metaphor for the bucket of crabs, this is actually a real thing. I grew up crabbing out on Long Island for blue crabs. And I recognized this as a child. You can catch one blue crab and put it in a bucket. And if you turn your back for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long, that one blue crab will have found a way to get out of that bucket. Don't know how the crab does it, but crabs are extremely resourceful and they are extremely determined to escape. Okay? Maybe they know the pot of boiling water that awaits them. But anyway, if you put a single crab in a bucket, it will climb out of that bucket. Okay? However, if you put a bunch of crabs in the bucket, none of them will climb out of the bucket. Okay? That's why we get this metaphor, the bucket of crab syndrome. And the reason is that as soon as one crab tries to rise above the level of all the other crabs and tries to scurry up the side of the bucket to climb out, the other crabs grab it and pull it back down into the bucket. And so it's this cycle. As soon as one of them tries to rise above, the others pull it back down. Now, I don't know that the crabs are intentionally trying to keep one crab from, seeking freedom, but the phenomena is the same. And whether it's intentional, and in fact, I would like to say that our friends and our family never intentionally mean us harm or ill will. So I don't know that they intentionally hold us back from being the people that they believe and we believe we're capable of being, okay? But within a group, as soon as one person starts to perform better or to make changes in their own lives that make them different from the rest of the group, it is a natural phenomena that the rest of your peers or family or coworkers will start to sabotage you or not be the encourager that you want them to be. Because first of all, you are making them uncomfortable. I've seen this on construction sites. When I was in college, I worked in the construction industry. And while it was me sometimes trying to do the job I thought was right, it was like, Bruce, slow down. You're making the rest of us look bad. And there was a lot of truth to that statement. If the boss noticed me outperforming the rest of my coworkers, then I might get recognized. I might get special treatment. But more so, the other employees who had gotten used to mediocrity might get called out on it. And so the foreman might say, hey, you other slackers, why aren't you working like Bruce? Or why aren't you working like George? And so the coworkers will start to tease and start to mock. Oh, well, look at you. Aren't you Mr. Goody Two-Shoes? You just think you're better than us. And sometimes there's that derogatory stuff that goes on in our peer group. So first of all, there is that bucket of crab syndrome, and you just need to be aware of it. And what I would like you to keep in your mind, George, and for everybody who's listening to this, let's not assign automatically ill will to the actions of others. Let's just recognize that that's where they are in their personal development. And you more than likely were there at some point in your life, or maybe not, but just recognize that you are different. And it doesn't mean that you are better. And so I want you to love yourself, respect yourself, own your value and your self-worth, but never in an egoic, egotistical way in which you really do believe that you're better than some other person on the planet, because then that's going to come across as arrogance, which is going to automatically create resistance and may intentionally create ill will towards you. So just love and know that you are an eagle, okay? And if you know that the people that you work with, if they think of themselves as turkeys, well, that's their agreement with reality. And I'll mention this in a little bit. So just understand that. So first of all, what I would like you to do, if you are this person, if you are the person who is frustrated because you are giving 100% to your work, and you're frustrated because those around you are not doing the same, and it's obvious, just recognize this, and I've talked about this in previous shows. So here's a great quote by an amazing writer, Khalil Gibran. And Khalil Gibran says that work is love expressed. So what you do, the way you do it, is an outward expression of who and what you feel about yourself on the inside. Okay, so what comes out of you, so the way you interact with the world, what comes out of you is simply what's already inside you. And so if a desire to give 100% is what's manifesting on the outside, then that's what's inside you. And so when you do your work with love, you do your work because you love who you are. Now, conversely, when other people are not working with love, when they are not giving 100%, it's because they do not love and value themselves. And that's just where they are. So one of the ways that you can work through this is to just recognize that everybody is on a personal journey. And everybody's path of personal development is not the same as yours. Some people may never come to the same place that you are, but some people may, and they may just not be there yet. Okay? I didn't come into my own. I didn't own who and what I was. I did not come to truly love who I am and accept who I am and recognize how beautiful I am until I was in my late 40s. Okay, so I don't know, George, how old you are, but everybody is on a personal path. Okay, and I came to the realization of the wonderful creation that I am and all that I am capable of and the gifts that I can give to the world. I came to that awareness much later in life. But I'm so thankful that I came to that awareness when I did and not later than now. Okay, so I'm now on this journey and I'm loving this journey. But for many years, I was the person who mocked the person next to me or around me who was trying to give 100% because I wasn't giving 100% because I didn't see myself as a 100% giver. I just didn't. Okay. So the other thing that I would caution you about is the comparison game. And so one of the ways that you cannot play the comparison game is recognizing that everybody is on their own personal journey and their journey is not yours. But when you compare the amount of effort that you are giving to your work, the amount of dedication and love that you give to your work, when you compare that to other people's, that's a no-win for you, okay? And it winds up creating in you bitterness and resentment and a judgmental mentality against that other person. And you do start thinking that maybe you're better than that person and that that person is substandard and that that person is not worthy of your love and respect. And that just creates a toxic environment, first and foremost, inside you. That is a poison that you are drinking. And so do not drink from the cup of negativity, of judgment. Don't drink from the cup of comparison, comparing yourself to other people. There's only one person you should ever compare yourself to, and that's the person that you were yesterday. Okay? So compare who you are today to the person that you were yesterday, or more importantly, compare what you are doing today to the person that you want to be tomorrow. So I've often used this expression, there is only one person on the planet who should ever have to live up to your expectations, and that's you. The moment that you start requiring that people perform to your standards, to your expectation, is the moment that you start to poison yourself. And you just don't want to do that. First of all, it's not worth it. Now, if you are the boss, the manager of this store, and there are performance standards, there are expectations that you have of your employees, then that is certainly worthy of holding them to that standard. There's a customer service expectation or the number of widgets that are supposed to get made every day. But be very careful about if you're capable of performing more than they are performing, then you need to be really careful about judging that person. Okay, so because what you do is you start telling yourself a story, and that story winds up being something that becomes destructive to you, and it may cause you to start interacting in a way that is somewhat destructive to them too. You may become a poison spreader in the process, and you never want to do that. Okay, so the other thing that you've got to decide is, are you doing the work that is required of you, and are you being fairly compensated for it? Now, I know in this letter, George, one of the things that you brought up is that you're comparing yourself. I'm assuming you are the manager of one store, and this other gentleman is the manager of another store, and you both get paid the same amount, and you both report to a senior level boss or manager. Okay, and what you're concerned is that you're getting paid the same amount as the other man is getting paid, but you feel like you are delivering better goods, a better product and service than the other person. Okay? And so what's happening in you is you're starting to think that, well, that other manager should receive less money than I receive. And again, what I want to caution you about is don't get caught up in that comparison. You only evaluate yourself against the compensation that you are receiving versus the amount of work that you are required to do. And so you perform to the standard that you set for yourself. You give 100% in appreciation and gratitude for the compensation that you are receiving for the job you perform. Now, if you are unhappy with your level of compensation based on the amount of work that you do and the quality of work that you do, then that's a conversation that you need to have with your supervisor, irrespective of what the other gentleman is doing. Again, you need to keep blinders on and just stay solely focused on you and what you are doing. And so if you believe that you are being fairly compensated for the work that you are performing, then it doesn't matter what anybody else is being compensated for. There are plenty of parables in Scripture about this, and so I'm not going to point those out, but there is a parable where, the owner of a vineyard says, I will pay, I need my grapes harvested, and so I am going to pay, it's like 50 denarii or whatever the amount is. And so a bunch of people show up first thing in the morning to receive or to pick grapes. And some people show up later in the day to pick grapes. And more people show up at the very end of the day to pick grapes. And then when all of the grapes have been harvested, they stand in front of the vineyard owner, and he gives each and every one of them the very same pay. And those who arrived early in the morning start to grumble and complain that they received the same pay as those people who showed up late in the afternoon. Okay? And the message of the parable is there's very spiritual messages in it as well. But the bottom line is you performed a job based on an agreement for how you would be compensated for the job. Okay? And so your relationship, your agreement is with the vineyard owner. And so if you agreed to pick grapes all day long for $50 and that's what you received, then that's your agreement. Okay? If somebody else shows up and only works half the amount of time as you, and the vineyard owner was willing to pay them the same thing, that's between them and that person and the vineyard owner. You focus on what you are being compensated for. Okay? And so if you're unhappy with your level of compensation, then you take that up with your manager. Okay? But always give 100% of your value for a couple different reasons, and I'll jump into that right now. Okay, but do not take anything personally. I'm a huge fan of the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Okay, and the second agreement is do not take anything personally. And the third agreement is make no assumptions. And one of the reasons that we often take things personally is because we make assumptions. And so those two go hand in hand. Don't take it personally. Don't poison your soul by thinking about another person and how that person deserves less than you do. You focus on your work and what it is that you agreed to do. And the next time the vineyard owner asks people to come out, you will have had experience. And you can go to the vineyard owner and say, you know what? I don't want to work on a flat rate. I want to work by the hour. And however it is that you feel you need to negotiate it so that you feel fairly compensated. Okay, so that's between you and the boss, not between you and somebody else. Okay, so there's that. The other side of it is recognizing that it's all about personal branding. Okay, you are representing you incorporated. And so how you do your job, the way you perform your job is saying so much about you and your personal brand. How other people are performing their job says stuff about them and how they feel about their brand. And so that's the big message here, is just always be focused on how do you want to represent yourself and the way you do work, because it's a reflection of who and what you are inside. Okay. Now, you can certainly try to lead the people that you are around into excellence. Okay. There's also a big difference between perfection and excellence. Perfection does not exist. None of us are perfect, but we can all be working towards excellence, giving the best we can possibly do on any given day. Okay, that's what we want to strive for. And you can lead people, but you can't push people. You can't force people into excellence. You can only lead them in that direction. And the best way to lead is by example. And so by you giving 100% when everybody else is not, don't let their lack of 100% poison you. Let it be motivation for you to keep giving 100%. Because eventually when they realize in the bucket of crabs syndrome, when they realize that they can't pull you back down to their level, you might wind up motivating some of them to start to emulate your behavior. And that's ultimately what you want. So you just keep marching, George. You keep working. You keep giving 100% in the hopes that you are setting the example for other people. Okay. Now I'll flip it back. If you are a manager, so if when you say people are not giving 100% and sometimes they are actually doing things that are bad, if you are the manager over that store and you have the responsibility of hiring and firing and making sure that the people do what they're supposed to do and making sure that the people that work under you represent the core values of the store, first of all, you can sit down with them and have a heartfelt, loving conversation with them. So as the leader of your store, you can start to teach these ideas of personal branding, of personal development, of why it's so important to give 100%. And hopefully some of them will drink that cup of motivation and encouragement, and they will have open ears, and they will start to see their world differently when you start to lead and when you start to teach. Always have the heart of a teacher. And sit down with each of them individually and say, I know that you are capable of better than this. I've seen you do it from time to time, so I know you're capable. Try to find out, is there something going on in their lives that they're struggling with, that they're bringing to work with them? And, so that this is what leaders do. Leaders are concerned about the lives of the people that they are leading. Okay, that's the bottom line of it. And so if you can find out what's going on in their lives and try to help them and encourage them to give 100%, because it's ultimately in their best interest to give 100%, then you have a chance of reaching their heart. So lead from within, lead from your heart is my main message to you. Okay. Now, also, if you are the manager who is responsible for having people work at your store who reflect the values and will serve the customers with the dignity and respect that the store stands for, it's also your responsibility to get the right people on the bus. It's also your responsibility to the owners of the store to make sure that you get the wrong people off the bus. And so you can be brutally honest with these people, okay? Be tactful about it and say, listen, I want you. I know that you are capable of giving 100%, but we have a responsibility to uphold the values of this store. And if you can't do that, and if you can't do that with love and integrity, then I have a responsibility to encourage you to seek employment elsewhere. Let those people go. And then when you hire the next person during the interview process, you make it extremely clear to them what you're looking for in somebody who's going to work for that store. So you want to try to hire, first of all, you can't teach core values, okay? Hire for attitude, hire for core values. You can always train for skills. You can always teach somebody what to do in the job. It's very, very hard to teach people why they need to do it. So that's my big message to you. Okay, so for you, George, I want you to own your self-confidence. I want you to trust so completely in who and what you are that you are immune to the poison of other people. So don't let their negative attitudes poison your positive attitude. And these are ways that you can do that. So first of all, when they are trying to poison you, so if they are directly attacking you, then understand that that's not personal. That's them. That's where they are in their journey. Those are their agreements with reality. It's not about you. It's about them. You solely be focused on you. Love and respect yourself so much that you will always give 100%, regardless of what somebody else is doing. So never lower your standards to fit in with the rest of the group. Stand out. Be the eagle. Soar above the turkeys. Now, I'll share one more thought with you too. Okay? And this is a beautiful metaphor, and this is where it takes some discernment. Okay? It takes spiritual discernment to understand this metaphor. You can do some Google research on this. When baby eagles are in the nest, okay, and this is something that we, at least here in North America, have done, and I've done this as a dad, okay? We have done a disservice to our children by giving them everything they need, everything that they want. Our job is to teach independence, to teach resourcefulness. If our kids want something, then we need to teach them how to go out and get it, to manifest it into their lives without us just giving it to them. And eagles do this. When eagles are in the nest, sure, the mothers and the father nurtures them and takes care of them and protects them. But as the baby eagle chicks get bigger and bigger, the mother eagle starts to pull out the leaves and the down feathers and all of the things that have made the nest comfortable, and makes the nest continually more and more uncomfortable until the nest is nothing more than just raw, bare branches that are hard and they're uncomfortable for the babies to lie on. And so it encourages the babies to want to get out of the nest. Okay, so that they fly away to go find their own mates, to build their own nest, to start their own lives. So the mother makes things difficult for a purpose. It's a loving purpose to move the baby eagles into their own world, to find their own destiny. Okay? What you have to discern for yourself is that if you are an eagle and your work environment is becoming more and more uncomfortable, maybe this is a sign to you. Maybe this is God making your environment more and more uncomfortable because it's time for you to move on. You may want to discern that, okay? You will benefit by trying to go out and find a group of eagles to hang out with instead of a group of turkeys. So always do the job that you have committed to do. Always honor your word. First agreement in the four agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is be impeccable with your word. And so if you agreed that you would perform a job, do it 100% so that you have no regrets. But also be discerning. Is this the right environment for you? Is there another store? Is there another work environment that you are being called to? So that this situation may be becoming uncomfortable for you because you're not supposed to be there much longer. Keep your ears, keep your eyes open for opportunities where you can go fully be the eagle that you were created to be and hang out with other eagles. Okay? You cannot make turkeys become eagles. Now you can lead them. You can lead by example. But if they choose to stay turkeys, then you have an obligation to the world to soar off into the world, off into the wilderness to find more eagles to fellowship with. Okay, so there's my environment to you. Okay, my environment. There's my message to you. Okay, first of all, in looking for a new environment. Okay, one of the things that's really important is you never want to be running away from something. So don't quit your job just because you were unhappy there. They were making fun of you, or you didn't get along with them. Don't run from something. Always be running or flying to something. Have a destination in mind. Okay, that's what first and foremost. So always be looking for the next great adventure rather than trying to get out of a toxic situation. Okay, so always be looking for ways to expand. So the other thing that you need to discern is this might not be the place for you. Okay, it might not. You may be being called to a place where you have greater influence, where you can add more value to more people. If you have not read The Go-Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann, it's a must. In fact, Bob Burg is going to be on my show coming up soon. We haven't scheduled an exact date yet, but he wants to come on the show. His book, The Go-Giver, is an amazing, amazing book that shares this parable. So I want you to read The Go-Giver. Our compensation is based on how many people we serve. So how can you expand your influence? So if you are not best serving the world in your current location, it's time to start looking for new opportunities while still giving 100% to your current situation. Okay, so there's my message for you today. This is how you learn to be an eagle while you're surrounded by turkeys. Be a leader. Try to encourage the turkeys to discover their inner eagle. Okay, but recognize that you can't change people. You can only lead them in the direction that you hope that they will follow. Okay, but if not, then that's their responsibility. That's their agreement with reality. Okay, so but always, always be an eagle. Never lower your standards. Don't drink their poison. Okay, always respect, love yourself for the awesome, awesome person that you are. Okay. There's my message for you today. I've got one quick 5-star review I want to read to you. It came from Shagwaps. Yeah, so a 5-star review on iTunes. It's called A Life Changer. Shagawops writes, I can't remember exactly how I stumbled upon your podcast, but however it was, I'm so glad I did. True to your words that everything in life happens for a reason. I was beginning my self-transformation, soul-searching, spirituality, etc., when I first heard your podcast, and instantly I was hooked. There are days when I listen to your episodes and it would seem like you can read exactly what is on my mind, or you know what I was feeling or experiencing at the moment. Bruce, it might sound strange, but you are like my big brother and mentor who is looking out for me. I hope you keep doing what you're doing right now and for many, many years, because you are truly an inspiration. Your words are like air that keeps the fire in my being burning. I can't thank you enough. I love that review. Thank you so much. And that is my desire. I really do. Before I stand in front of this microphone, I whisper a prayer and I say, use my words, give me the words to say, first of all, that will go out into the universe and touch the person or the people who were meant to hear this message and to use it to change their lives. So I am not the message. I am just the messenger. I am not the content. I am just the container. Okay? And more importantly, I love you. I really, really do love you. Life is a marathon, so let's train for it.